What are your rights in relation to a party wall? That's a wall that divides your property from your neighbours. How do you go about altering an existing party wall, and can you stop your neighbour from doing building works that might affect the boundary wall between you? In this video, I'll explain what a party wall is, what you can do to your own party walls, and the legal processes you have to follow. I'm Daniel Barnett, a barrister practicing from central London, and I'm the presenter of the Legal Hour on LBC Radio. This is one of a series of videos I've made on Neighbour Disputes. To receive notifications about all my Legal Explainer videos, please do subscribe and click the notification bell below. What exactly is a party wall? The first type is a wall that stands astride the boundary of the land between you and your neighbour. The most common example is the wall between terraced or semi-detached houses. The wall of a detached house might also be a party wall if it's on the property's boundary line. Garden walls that stand astride the boundary also fit this definition. The second type is one that stands wholly on one property owner's land, but is used by the other owner to separate off their land. For instance, where a second owner has built their building up against an existing wall which stands entirely on the first owner's land. The Party Wall Act 1996 sets down the process that neighbours have to follow when altering a party wall. It also provides a mechanism for objecting to proposed alterations. If your neighbour wants to alter a party wall, the Party Wall Act requires that you're notified. This allows you to raise objections before the work's carried out. This is the case even if the proposed work doesn't extend beyond the centre line of the wall. If building work begins before you're notified, you can get a court injunction to stop it. If you want to carry out work on a shared wall, Section 2 of the Act gives you the right to make good, repair, or demolish and rebuild a party wall where necessary because of a defect, to cut into a party wall for any purpose, including damp proofing, to cut into a party wall to take the bearing of a beam, and various other alterations detailed in the Party Wall Act. But you must follow the notification process. Notification isn't generally required for minor works that don't affect the structural strength or integrity of a wall. It's also not needed if the support functions of the wall are unaffected. This means you can generally drill into a party wall for ordinary wall units or shelving, cut into the wall to add or replace wiring sockets, or replaster the wall without going through the notification process. If you do need to give notice of work needs to be in writing to the owners of the party wall. This includes freeholders and leaseholders where the lease exceeds a year. It also includes anyone with a contract to buy the freehold or to buy a leasehold of over a year. The notice has to state your name, your address, and the name of all joint owners. It must also give the address of the building, a full description of the work, and the proposed start date. I've included a link to a template letter in the show notes below. You have to serve the notice by either sending it or hand delivering it at least 2 months before you propose to start the work. You can also send the notice by email, but only if your neighbour agrees. If you've got planning permission and your neighbour and any other owner of adjoining property consent in writing, you can go ahead. If they don't consent or they don't respond within 14 days, the dispute resolution procedure, as it's called, begins. You and your neighbour have to agree on a surveyor who will act impartially to decide an award. That's what it's called. The award is a document which describes what work is to be done, and it also allows the surveyor to inspect the property of the building and the wall. The notice also has to describe when the work will be done and how it will be done. It records the condition of the adjoining property before any work begins, and that makes sure any damage to the neighbour's property is clear because the pre-works condition is recorded and so can be made good. If you and your neighbour can't agree on a single surveyor, you can each appoint your own surveyor. The two surveyors then select a third surveyor who'll make the decisions if the first two can't agree on the award. The surveyor's award is binding on you and your neighbour unless it's appealed to the county court within 14 days. Appealing to the county court is risky because costs can be awarded against you. The general rule is the neighbour who benefits from the alterations has to pay the surveyor's costs. And if there are two surveyors, they normally have to pay both sets of fees. But if the work is to repair or remedy a defect in the wall, the neighbour who didn't start the process may have to share costs. These can include the costs of the building work. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, you might also be interested in this one and this one. I'm Daniel Barnett. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.